Data types offer you many advantages, and you can customize those advantages. Let's start off with an example from the location table, a fairly simple table that has 5 records and 4 fields. Now, what we want to do is attempt to edit this in a way that is in line with some of the data types, but out of line with some of the other data types, just to see the behavior. So I'm going to right-click the location table, and instead of going to design, we're going to change the data by editing the rows. Now, what if we were to add a 6th location, and instead of putting the number 6, I'm going to put SIX. Now, knowing that location ID must be an integer, will it take SIX? It says no, this was changed to an unrecognizable format. So a data type is really a safety catch. It won't allow you to do something that is improper according to its design. And in database terms, we don't use the term safety catch, we use the word constraint. So a data type constrains your data to be within the accurate range of what you've designed it to do. So let's put a real 6 there, and let's put 987 Ruby Road. And for the city, let's choose Reno. And for the state, let's choose Nevada, but let's type in Nevada. Well, we know this is character data type, and Nevada's all characters, but notice it's a char2. So what will happen if I try to commit this? It says, you know what, I can't commit that data as you've typed it in. I would have to make changes to it. And SQL wants to make sure it did what you told it to do, or it didn't do it at all. So there's nothing misleading. So we'll say OK, and we'll type NV for Nevada. Click away. Now that we've met all of the data types needs and the constraints of those data types, we have a new committed record. Let's check our results in this query by rerunning it, and we see we have 6 records. Let's change our database context to the DB Basics database. And now, let's look at all of the records of the customer table. Let's do it by running this query. Pretty small, straightforward table. Looks like we have an integer here, bunch of string data, phone number, and we're not quite sure what country is yet. Well, let's start editing some of this data to see what we can and can't do. Now, I can't add a new ID myself because that's an identity field. But all I'm interested in doing is changing some of the existing data. This is obviously character data, this is obviously character data, and I'll just go ahead and change the name Brad West to Brad East. And the country that Kitty Hawk is located in is the US. Now, where do you think Air Canada is based? Well, how about Canada? Let's type in the whole name. And it goes, hey, the data in row 2 is not committed because it would be truncated. Oops, it's too long. It seems like this is a char2 or an nchar2, but it's sure not going to hold 6 letters. So the abbreviation for Canada is CA. Frontier Airlines, well, that's US. Let me put USA. Too long. Got to stick with 2-letter country codes. And Japan Airlines is located in JP. Southwest Airlines, US. Let's click away, close. Let's requery this table. Notice this has been populated. Now, let's see if our assertions of what data types are in here are correct. Let's expand the customer table. Let's expand columns. Let's give ourselves some room and look. Yep, first field is an integer, varchar 50, varchar 40. This is a varchar 20. Now, how about country? Country is a country code data type. I've created a brand new data type called country code, and other tables can use country code. What country code is I took a regular value type like char2, gave it a name, and now all other fields can use that. Let's use an example of exactly what that means. Let's go to the employee table of the DB Basics database, and let's change the design. Now, let's add a new field called country. And let's change the data type to a char2. All right, pretty straightforward. That will accept US, but not USA. It'll accept CA, not Canada, but we have another option. We have country code as a data type. Country code is itself a variation of a char2 with its own settings. So any one of the tables in the DB Basics database can use this user-defined or a custom data type that I've created. Let me close out of here, save the changes, and let's query the employee table. And notice, country is one of the options. It's one of our fields. Let's try this in the JProCode database. Let's go to JProCode. Let's go all the way to locations, and let's add the country code data type to a field called country in the location table. Let's go to the design. Let's type in country for the column name. And instead of choosing a char2, I want to choose the country code data type. But it's not listed here. Why? I've created a brand new data type in the DB Basics database called country code, but I didn't create that in JProCode. So let's see how we do that. Let's close out of the table's design view without saving. In your Object Explorer, under the JProCode database, go to Programmability, go to Types, right-click Types, and say New User-Defined Data Type. Okay, we're going to leave it in the DBO schema, and we'll call this country code. Now, we're going to base country code off of the char data type. So alphabetically, char is one of the first ones listed. We'll say it has a length of 2, and we can make this nullable. Now click OK. Now, when we go to the design view of the employee table, we can have a field called country. And the data type for that field can be country code, our custom defined data type. Save this, say OK, run your employee query. Notice we have country as one of our fields. Let's create a custom data type by using T-SQL code. Let's change back to the DB Basics database and type the following code. Create type, and we will make a custom type that is up to 50 nvar characters long. So we'll give it the name of dbo.email type, and we'll base it from nvar char 50, and that can be a nullable field. So let's run it this way. Now, let's go to our DB Basics database. Let's expand programmability. Let's expand types. Let's expand user-defined types. And notice, there's a type called email. Well, let's get a table to actually consume this data type. Let's go to the employee table. Let's design it. And let's add a field called email alias. And let's change the data type to email type. Save and close. Let's expand our employee table, expand the columns. Notice email alias is using the email type, the user-defined type we just created. Well, what if I didn't need this type anymore? There's a drop statement called drop type, and then you pick the name of the type. Let's try to run this drop statement. Now, what's going to happen to the table that's currently using this type? It says you can't drop this type until all of the tables that are using this type are no longer using this type anymore. So if I have an email type in the employee table and I want to get rid of the field, but I don't remember, or I wasn't the one that created the field, how am I going to find out which tables are using this type? Maybe there's only one table, maybe there's 10 tables, and I got to change all of them. Well, let's investigate. Let's go to Programmability, and let's find the type we're trying to get rid of. And let's view dependencies. It tells me the only one using the email type is the employee table. Okay, that narrows it down. Let's go to the employee table, expand columns, and find out which one of them is using it. Aha, the email alias is using the email type. Since all the email records are null, let me actually delete this field. Say OK. It appears to be gone. Let's check our dependencies again. No dependencies for this type. Great. Now let's try to drop it again. Excellent. Now our user-defined data type is gone. Lab 4.2 Skill Check 1. In the JProCode database, use T-SQL code to create a user-defined data type called dbo.email. Use this data type in a new field, email address, which you will add to the employee table. When complete, the design of your employee table will resemble the figure you see here. Skill Check 2. Drop the custom data type country code from the JProCode database. If any fields are using this data type, then drop those fields first. When you're able to successfully run the following code without any error messages, then you have completed this skill check.